No.
Let's go chew the fat. Tell us how you came about to be Grin and Bake and for Health, and where did you start?
So from school I actually went and studied to be a naturopath. So I started from that and consulted and went into then having health food stores, retail stores. So I had 2 stores in Melbourne and had them for, both of them for roughly 9 to 10 years. Enjoyed that, loved that, loved being able to use my skill set on the shop floor, and I had a clinic attached to one of my stores, so really loved that interaction with customers and patients sort of within that whole concept. And then I, throughout that, had a couple of gut healthy mueslis to support my patients through their treatments, and decided to put them on the shelves in the in the shops, and it kind of just snowballed. I went from being a naturopath, being a retailer, having 2 stores, having a brand, a product for my patients, then launching it into a brand, getting into supermarkets, and kind of doing it really left field, and then going from that then into manufacturing. So it's kind of been an interesting journey. How many years has that been? I graduated 20 years.
20 years.
20 years from my first store to now. So it's been a bit of a journey.
And a lot of learning. So you started, what is it, 20 years, is it 2008?
Yeah.
2009?
Yeah. So look, you know, I've always been in the health food industry. From obviously, it was a passion of mine wanting to study and being a naturopath, and then moving into retail and understanding all the products and the herbs. It was always been a passion of mine. But I've really done it sort of arse around, because most people go to manufacturing and go relinquish manufacturing. I saw an opportunity to go into manufacturing at a larger scale in the industry to support, you know, manufacturing here in Australia, to support brands. You know, go from boutique to volume if that's what they want to do with their business. So, yeah, it's been a journey.
Which we do.
It's been a journey.
Manufacturing is just a real challenge. It's unless you're into it, unless you get that engineer's mindset or the scientist. Because it's all about these things. It's about numbers. It's all
about numbers. It's all about your output. It's all about numbers. So yeah, I've got good people on my team.
And how did you two meet? Because it's very complementary. You get a sportsman and a nutritionalist.
Wow.
Was he a patient?
No, in a pub. Can I say that?
Yeah,
at a pub. Met in a pub.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it.
And a boozer.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything in moderation, I say, Scott.
Oh, I'm all for it.
Everything in moderation.
I only have 1 glass, but my glass is fucking massive.
It's called a keg? Is that enough to for a keg?
We used to live next to this very dapperly dressed English gentleman in Sydney. Jonathan worked for the hospital, and he would pocket watched a lot. He was the fucking from the 20s, and he would say, "I only have one glass of wine." But when he pours a glass, it's like fucking the whole bottle. So when you went to see him, Sally would go and see him, and Sally's not a big drinker. She would come back pissed. Because he said, "Oh, she only had one glass of wine." But 1 glass of this beaker of like proper like Chardy he was called. He was like a proper drinker. But he was always be up in the morning, first thing, we would still be like dusty trying to get ourselves up to go to work, and he'd be out the door. Like, it was a bit like the male version of, you know, that Nanny McPhee, the Mary Poppins?
Yeah.
A bit of that kind of character.
Yeah.
But such a character, very posh English, like proper posh English. Yeah. So how did you get involved in footy?
Well, I was a young fella in Tassie, and my dad played, and so it was what you know, it was what my you know, it was my most keenest sport, and you know, in Tassie it's pretty secluded down there, and yeah, I was just happened to go through all the age groups of football, and got spotted by someone from an AFL team, and at 17, 18, I was drafted into the AFL, you know, but it was something that I grew up with. My father was football, his father was football, so it was basically inherited into me, so I didn't know any different. You know, so I left Tassie as an 18-year-old kid. I was on a farm, you know, always looked after by my mum and dad, and then got thrown into the big city, and you know, it was 10 years later I ended up spending 10 years in AFL at Richmond and Kilda, so it was, it's gone.
And what was your position
I was a forward. Yeah, I was a
So the glory.
Yeah,
the glory,
man.
yeah, the glory.
Mm.
But you know, I finished my football. I was drafted at 18, and now I'm 42 now, and that's all I've done. I've been either a player or a coach. You know, so I was pretty lucky that you know, playing, I was able to go into a career at coaching, which I'm very grateful for, because it's an opportunity. Once upon a time, once you played football and you finished, it was either back on the tools or you know, lollipop man, or work on the council, or you know, because a lot of footballers never had, you know, they never
really educate them for life after football.
life after
They have got
football.
better, a lot better though.
So there's a lot of opportunities now. I reckon what footy does do for kids is, you know, it gives another direction in life. You know, in regards to coaching now is it's a career path. So I've been very lucky to do that straight after footy.
As an AFL player, like, is there any other countries that you, like, if you're a soccer player, you can go to play whatever the soccer? Are you just Australia?
Just Australia, yeah. I think that they're obviously exploring China, Singapore, but we're a long way away from you know, making our sport sustainable, global. You know, you're seeing they're playing a fair bit of football in China, but yeah, I think, you know, keep what we got. We do it pretty well here, and you know, but it's
well, it's a very high scoring game, right?
yeah.
If you think about it, like basketball, Americans love it because there's lots to chat about, there's lots to say. Whereas you probably get bored watching a soccer game if it's like a 0-0 or 1-0. Did it happen?
Yeah.
It does cross a fair bit. Like we do find other sports quite boring that way, but we study a lot of other sports and get a lot of ideas. So hockey, soccer, a lot of our method and a lot of our ideas come out of other sports. You know, going and studying that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. If you watch football, there's a lot of crossover in the way they set the ground up, the way they pass the ball, the way that they want to go in one side and out the other. Like, it's very soccer orientated now. The way they zone, the way they defend. So yeah, except the scoring.
Except the scoring.
Yeah.
I remember I went to one game. It was a Swannies game, and I was invited by a friend of mine. But just with a soccer mind, looking at grass ball, minute shots, I couldn't process it.
No.
It was just, the game is moving at such a rate, such a speed.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to realise it was 4 refs on the park and then other refs around the park.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then people just coming off whenever they wanted.
Yeah.
There was lots of these changes.
Yeah.
How do you keep up? And I remember saying to the guy next to me, what's the rules? And he just said, forget it.
Yeah.
He said, you've got to learn it. You've got to keep coming back. You've got to keep watching these things. And yes, and I couldn't get past the part the barges that the guys can knock you out, really.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor, he just knocked that guy out with a shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's all right in the game of AFL, right?
Yeah, it's changed really quickly. In the space of 10 years, it went from brutality to, you know, nearly like netball now. You can hardly touch each other now because of, you know, concussions and that sort of stuff.
It's a faster game now.
And it's certainly a faster game.
That sounds un-Australian, doesn't it? Because they always like a bit of biff.
They
like,
do.
remember in the rugby league they would say bring back the biff.
Yeah.
Because when you watch the old game, it's like fucking stuff. That's the kind of sport it should be.
Yeah.
And that's why they always say like soccer's a pansies game, it's for the girls. But there's a lot of discussion now in the soccer industry of heading the ball. So there's a lot of older players who are now getting Alzheimer's, dementia, and they're putting that down to the repeated heading of the ball. Kids like getting punched in the head by a 12-pound weight. Not so much during the game, but it's 200 times done it during the week in practice sessions. And then back in the day when the balls got waterlogged, so a 5 kilogram ball became an 8 kilogram ball when it was soaked with water and kicked at speed. So there was a good documentary on the ABC I watched with Alan Shearer, who was an English legend. He went through that whole process.
Newcastle,
yeah, that's it. And they're doing all the studies in Glasgow Uni about these things, and there's a lot more coming out of it. Now, America has banned children under the age of 11 from heading the ball. Australia said not enough knowledge, and England said no. And a mate of mine, an ex-soccer player, David Mitchell, he's trying to launch this concept about teaching kids how to header. Because I've hated headering the ball, I refuse to do it. Because I think maybe from a long time I got copped at one in the face, and it put me off.
Scarred you for life.
Yeah, but people who header the ball, it's like the neck muscles are up, it's like taking a plunge in your boxes, like you're ready for it. And it's like, he wants to teach them that other way of headering the ball. But in soccer now, what they're saying, we've developed a much more European style of game where it's no more the long ball, the ball's on the ground. So very rarely do you ever see a long ball go up and somebody's doing a bit of this.
Short, sharp and movements. And, yeah. But it's the same in AFL football, like the study that they've done now in regards to people being bumped, not necessarily in the head, but bumped here, the jolt.
The cut crash.
So that's why they're knocking out a lot of this, bumping off the ball, and I'm not really sure where the game will be in 20 years, but I think it's for the better, because the AFL are going to have some mighty damn big lawsuits on their hands, and that's what's starting to happen in AFL now. All these blokes are at 50 and 60 are coming, and they can't even function in life now. There's a lot of cases like that.
Shocking, isn't it? Because you don't think that far down the line when you take to the field. You're playing that game to win that game as part of your team. There's no process in your mind, or probably in the coach's mind, or the supporter's mind of what can happen 20, 30 years down the line.
I remember playing, and even this is when I was playing AFL, but cop a really big head knock. Well, once upon a time, it was the same in NRL, that if you come off with a head knock, you were seen as weak. And the coach would say, "What are you doing? Get back on the ground, like you're weak." So once upon a time, you would never come off. If you got concussed or knocked out on the ground, you'd never come off. But
Just keep going.
But now if you get a head knock now, you have a mandatory 2 weeks off. 2 weeks. So, but that's how I grew up. Was just.
But doesn't that come from education?
Oh yeah. So there's no education around it, And the NFL in the States, the gridiron, that's where it's all coming from now.
Well, you see those guys all pads.
Yeah, but they use bloody helmets.
Helmets, shoulder pads,
That's right.
even thigh pads.
Yeah. So I still have moments now where I had 2 or 3 really big head knocks where I was unconscious for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. But now I have times where I think of things I can't think. I don't know if it's the booze or
Old age.
old age and all.
You could try this one.
Yeah, I need to get into that.
According to
What is it?
Lion's Mane, re-stimulates green matter in the brain.
Yeah.
So they're actually now doing studies in America with this. So this has been part of the Chinese medicine for 2,000 years, and it's part of the medical system in China. And they give it to people who suffer brain trauma or that sort of stuff. But Dylan's mate, Julian, he used to be the physio for the Wolves in the EPL, in the Scottish, in the British Premier League. So big team, and he was there. Was he physio? Was that his?
Yeah, he's a physio.
He's a physio. So for Wolves for the last year and a half in the Premier League in England, but he got a bit disillusioned with it, and he went to find these alternates. Because what he realised was people who were on a plant-based diet or people who were taking these functional foods were actually recovering a lot quicker.
Right.
So he went and did a lot more study, did more study, and then founded the benefits of a massive range of functional mushrooms from the Chinese medicine stuff that actually helps people heal or redo trauma. So, example, this one he always says, people who are getting Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, the first person I thought of was Billy Connolly. I thought, fuck, get him on that, because that's his ailment. His ailment right now is Parkinson's, and there is no cure for it. I thought, so according to this stuff, it rebuilds and stimulates, but the best time to start taking it is now, according to them, and then you keep building that resistance. But it helps you. A lot of people take that to focus, so when you're having instead of having a coffee and you're up and you're down again, this is a mental high, but there's no low. So you kind of zone out from other stuff, and it keeps you mental clarity. I done my own research in all these little lion's mane, reishi, quadriceps, whatever, and there's a lot of stuff that's new. There's a lot of stuff that's old. So when you go to the sort of Chinese side of the stuff, it's been around for hundreds and thousands of years. This stuff, but now it's America's. These ones are actually grown in Byron Bay. In the industrial estate in Byron Bay, it's not an industrial estate by normal standards. It's actually people live there. It's where the cool cafes and the bars are. There's the breweries in there. It's a good kind of place to hang out and chill. So how does someone, like a young kid who's got a big commitment to want to be an EFL player, where did they start? Like, what do these? It's so competitive, right?
Oh yeah, in my sport it starts at 9 or 10, but I think once you get to those years of 12, 14, 15, that's where it gets really serious around being identified. Like football's a massive identified sport, so if you don't, to get into the AFL at 16, 17, it's nearly unheard of.
Right.
Like it's a massive identified process. So you get identified at 7 or 8, 9, 10, whatever it may be. And then particularly in Melbourne with the private schools, and that's where a lot of our kids get drafted from.
That's private schools?
Yeah, private schools. They give them scholarships. They get identified young, they get them in. but
To get the resources.
the resources, but 50 to 60% of kids drafted into the AFL are coming through private schools.
What's like an average salary in like an AFL player?
Average salary is about 300, 350, yeah.
And is that for like a? Because like if I look at like soccer, like the A-League soccer, some of these players are getting 50 grand or 100 grand, whatever. But if you move out of this country and get to even a lower league in Britain, they could get £20,000 a week in the lower leagues.
If you get drafted now as an 18-year-old kid, you could be on a base retainer of 120,000, and then if you play 20 games in that year, you could potentially earn another 5,000 to 6,000.
So you get paid more games you play?
Yeah, particularly younger. As you get on, you get more established. Then you become set contracts where it's all guaranteed money. But if you're a young fella at 18 and play every game in your first year, you can earn 250,000 as an 18-year-old coming out of high school.
So I suppose that's a very crucial part of the development of these young kids when they get a bit sideswiped with drugs and parties and alcohol. Yeah. What was the name of the guy who was a very good footballer who kept repeating?
Ben Cousins.
Ben Cousins. So what would someone like him, would he be on much more than that?
He was 500, 600, 700,000. Right. But it's not just his footy money, the endorsement stuff that he would have been getting through some of his major sponsors would have been probably 3-4 times that.
And appearance fees.
What team was he playing for?
West Coast Eagles.
West Coast Eagles. I remember that. And I always remember the other guy, Jason Plapp from Brisbane. Yeah. Always when his dad blonde he was a bit mad.
Yeah, he was pretty mad.
He's a pro golfer now, he's trying to go pro golf, There you go.
That's a good sport, fucking golf.
Yeah.
You can play it till you fall down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you're too old, you go to the old league, and you can still keep playing that.
Yeah,
I often thought that. I used to be a caddy on a posh golf course. I kind of what turned my life around, because I kind of came from like a bad area of Glasgow, and there was no rules, and we just did what we fucking wanted. But then I got this job in this posh golf course at 14 years old, and my job was to carry golf bags of all these people. Turns out I was carrying golf bags for fucking people like Clint Eastwood, Sylvester Stallone, Cheryl Ladd, Ian Woosnam, the second richest man in America. I only remember that because a helicopter came in and all these SWAT teams came out, and there was a Jewish geezer. He was under a fatwa or something from some Islamic militant group or whatever. And I'm 14, I'm stoned, it's like Caddyshack, we're all fucking stoned in this place.
I like you, Betty.
That's Denny, sir.
Danny, stop thinking. Let things happen. And be the ball.
If you've ever seen Caddyshack, it was just like that. It was like that, but not as many girls, just blokes stoned and raining. And then every year we got so exposed to these guys, and you got to walk around for 4 hours with these guys carrying their golf bags. I met the guy that set up Sweet and Low. Steve Adele. I met the family that set up Tackle Bell, Dan Elsley.
Wow. Right.
So I'm stoned walking, and he's Scat. I got talking. I remember the first guy says to me, he always called me Scat. He said, Scat, do you get El Nino here? And I thought he meant like a soccer player. I said, yeah, we got El Nino. And he turns to his wife and he said, hey, we got El Nino, they got El Nino here too. That means a weather pattern. I realised that 10 years later. But I thought he said it could sound like a Spanish footballer. It's best to say yes.
Knowing well.
Because they were good tippers, they always tipped you. Now if you after 4 hours, if you got an American, they pay you 50 quid. Dole money was £77 a fortnight.
Yeah,
So I was getting £50 per 4, and sometimes you get two rounds in one day. So from my exposure, being exposed to these people, and British soccer players, there was lots of those guys, I thought, fuck, they're just like me. Because I never got to see these people on television, that identity. What was that guy, Sylvester Stallone? He turned up, he was like this big. His cigar was bigger than him. He was a fucking tiny little guy. And I thought, wow, and Clint Eastwood was a big, tall man. That's quite a thin, big bastard. I used to walk with these guys. I remember the guy who was the big bastard. Now I forgot his name because he always asked for me because I said nothing. I was stoned. And just he played at one ball, just him, and then paid me £50. But he had like fucking forearms like that, like Popeye. And I said, "Why is your what do you do?" And he goes, "I'm a goalkeeper for an ice hockey team." So these are my, and he would like, drive the ball 350 yards straight, always straight. He would do a 4-hour game in 2.5. So it was always a pleasure to be with that guy. He paid you good money, cleaned his boots, cleaned his gloves, and put it away. But from that exposure, that helped me meet some people I would never have came across in my life. And it must be the same for young kids getting into sport, whenever they turn up as an 18-year-old kid, they're sharing the dressing room with some of the big sporting idols.
Justin tells that story where his very first game he played against your idol. When Justin was drafted, he played his first game.
So when I was 15, 16, I had a bloke by the name of Peter Dean who played for Carlton. He's a hero there. And as a kid growing up, I had him on my wall. I got drafted, and my first game of football was on this bloke. So like at the MCG, there's 70,000 people, and I go to shake his hand, he punches him in the face. And I'm like, right, okay, nice to meet you, okay. So, true story. And then he retired at the end of that year. So, yeah.
So you copped it just in time?
Yeah, I'm all over. I go, oh, nice to meet you. He's gone, oh, yep, okay, nice to meet you too.
That's it then. See, I think sometimes there's something nice with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think as we're moving through the ages, we're a bit too fucking mamby-pamby, it's a bit too soft.
Yeah.
We're not shaping people the way they should be shaped. It's a physical game. The world is physical. The world is not always la-di-das. There's ups and downs. It's part of the gig of growing.
Absolutely.
That's a memorable moment. I'm sure there's not many young kids nowadays that are going to cut one of them.
No, there's not.
God,
But
In front of 70,000 people.
Yeah, but that's what our sport's made up of, is role modelling, and you know, I don't think we understand the impact that it does have on younger kids about how we behave and act, and you know, they need role models, don't they?
Absolutely.
So how does it work for you two? You got the Queen of Sheba here making all the muesli, and you get the sporting hero. How do you find that balance? And kids, I'm guessing kids in there?
Yeah, we do have kids.
Yeah.
It's a juggle.
Yeah.
Dead set juggle. Justin is uptime is the weekends because of travel and footy, and so we certainly don't have a hell of a lot of quality family time. Our youngest son, Jack, he's mad into football and stuff, so he's into sport, soccer, footy, basketball. So that's, you know, that's the juggle. Consumed. So, you know, we're very involved with what Justin does because my son loves it. So we go along to as many games as we can. So that's a bit of a family thing. But although he's working, but you know, it is what it is. But we complement each other. And I think we respect each other. We're doing. You know, he does his thing, I do my thing, and we come together. And we obviously have lots of different challenges in each other's career, but the similarities from a structure point of view is quite similar. So we, you know, we bounce a lot of ideas off each other, and you know, he listens to a lot of my whinging and a lot of my shit, and vice versa, I suppose. So it's just out of respect, I think, you know.
Yeah, and it comes from a supporting point of view. If we didn't support what each other did, we wouldn't be sitting here, you know. So there's got to be a level of respect around, you know, what each other's doing, and you make it work. You know, we're all busy, right, aren't we? But you know, if you don't embrace what your partner wants to do, it's going to end.
Yeah.
And our kids know no different. You know?
What age are the kids?
Sammy is 13, and Jack is 9, and Millie is she's just about to turn 5. Just started school. She just started school, so that takes a little bit of pressure off. But all sort of being in one place. But it's, you know, it's a juggle. It is what it is. Like, you know, everyone's busy, everyone's crazy busy, everyone's trying to do everything. I suppose, you know, you want to give your kids opportunities to do as many sports as they want. You don't want to say no. And you know, we've had a nanny who's helped us out a bit. But I really stay true to doing school drop off and pick up. Justin has one day off. That's his day on, kids.
What did you get off?
Usually a Thursday.
And then you work 6 days a week?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, we're travelling, you know, our first game, round 1, is we go to Perth, so we play on a Saturday night, we'll fly on a Wednesday or Thursday, so I'm away 4 days and then come home. So that's challenging.
That's a shit of a flight, that one, isn't it?
Oh, it's
another country. Just cut it off.
Like Tasmania, I say.
Well, at least Tasmania's only 40 minutes away in the flight, it's like you can be there and back in one day.
I mean, the beauty of most of our flights, like, they're chartered, so it's only us on the plane, so we can, you know, you got blokes being massaged in the.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
You know, it's a fight for.
Maybe we could do a podcast on one of those flights.
Some of the you see people sleeping in the aisles, you see people sleeping, take it, but it's quite a unique. Because we finish a game and then we fly back to Melbourne, and it's usually the red eye that we get sometimes, and it's just bodies everywhere. There's, you know, 80 people on the plane. You know, there's players and staff. Yeah, so
Jesus.
You know, it's 22 players, but the support staffs could be 40 or 50 people. You know,
that's very different to. I'm thinking about my mate. So I met man Davey Mitchell. He used to coach Perth Glory, and he was always. We would talk about that, and he would say the issue for us. So he would need to fly from Perth to Melbourne to Wellington to go and play Wellington Phoenix. Because we just flew 5 hours on that flight, and then we're going back 3 hours.
Yeah.
and a 2 hour flight.
Yeah.
He goes, we've done 13 hours
Yeah.
and we've got to be there the day before and get the boys ready to play the game
Yep.
and then fly back to play again
Yeah.
the following week. So I thought, when you actually think about it like that, and I know sitting on my arse going on the flight, it's quite tiring.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go and run 23 kilometres
No.
on that day.
Yeah, I mean, the recovery process, I mean, in season for AFL footballers and soccer players, NRL, whatever it may be, it's all about the recovery process. You sleep, you eat, what you're putting into your body is like, it's actually not the training, about how much training. So we're at a training process now where we had put 100 kilometres of running into our players in 1 week in Maroochydore, but now, once we're in the games, it's all about what, you know, the way you recover mentally, the way you recover physically, and
Nutrition.
so, and your nutrition. That's the way the game's changed now.
And do you have much discussion within your club about, sort of picking up on the discussion about plant-based versus meat?
Yeah.
Is that a discussion within
Yeah,
AFL?
yeah, it is. We're seeing a lot more players now become paleo, like it's, you know, plant-based, whatever it may be. Like that used to be once upon a time nothing that we ever discussed, but it's really from a player's point of view. It's a individual preference about what you choose to do. Like the player, the club won't enforce you to do something, but if you, whatever works for you, embrace that.
But then the dietitians then obviously work around.
Yeah,
persuading
and the
you.
dietitians, like we have 2 full-time dietitians, but the mental space is where AFL's grown now, just around, we spend so much time on the physical part, we don't spend any time on this, and now that's the game changer at the moment around, you know, AFL footy and NRL, about how you're training this and how you're recovering this, and which when I grew up,
Nothing.
I didn't want to know about it.
Get
I
on
knew
with it.
nothing about it, but I'm actually, I'm 42 now, I'm learning more about the brain than I ever have.
I started, I was telling, I done his podcast, he's got one called Dylan Nicholson's Journey, which is basically about him asking
Gave you a plug.
questions. Well, he's pretty well known, and he's like he's an Instagram influencer.
Cute.
He's like a Lululemon fucking
Wow.
Movember, Men's Health. He's got it all going on. He's just sitting there quietly.
Yeah.
He's got a
Should
story
be
to tell.
interviewing him.
Well, I have. He's done me. That's how we met.
Yeah,
We met in the street and just done a very quick podcast. But it's one of the things that he does. In his podcast, it's about more, because a lot of podcasts are people 40 odds fucking blind or whatever. He's come from an angle of 19-year-olds. I wanted to have that voice of 19 talking to 15, 16, 17-year-olds and just asking questions to people like us. So maybe these kids might never get an opportunity to speak to people like themselves. So then he pops them with a couple of questions. He says, so what do we do? It's like, where do we fit in if we don't want to be an accountant, or if we don't want to be a lawyer, or if we don't really feel we're applying ourselves to a university, if we don't want to do these things, but we actually find our happiness is a bit over there.
Yeah.
But then the happiness for them, some of those guys, leads to a bit of lostness. So how do they deal with the lostness? I said, well, lostness, you've got to be lost till you find yourself. I was a bit like you. When I left Glasgow and went to London, I was fucking lonely. I had never felt loneliness like that before. I'd never been surrounded by so many people, but so fucking lost at the same time. But within that, I discovered who I was. You can either go back home to Glasgow and live my life in a nice little Glasgow, or I can go and grow. It's a great set of fucking wings and meet some new people.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to do that for me is get a job. It's like as soon as you get off your ass and get a job, then you're in the system and you start.
Yeah.
But I've never felt that loneliness. It's like in a big city. Wow, no one gives a fuck. You normally live in your little town where you say, "Oh, yeah, morning," he's getting a coffee or whatever. You kind of, when you go to a big city, you're like, "Fuck, no one's even saying hello here."
No.
I start to say hello to everyone. In London, people don't say hello to you. They just put their head down.
Yeah.
Dylan always likes to throw in a question. What's the question, Dylan?
What's the weirdest thing you do that you don't know if everyone else does, and it might be a little habit that you do every day?
Oh God.
It'd be pretty normal for you, but like something that you know is a little bit weird.
I leave the towel on the bathroom
Oh,
floor
shit.
after every shower in the morning.
Swear to
and
God.
My
Swear to
wife,
God.
my wife abuses me on the drive in. You leave this towel on the ground, and it's been going on for 40
No, I'll
years.
take a photo of
Does she
the.
call
I'll
you?
take a photo of the
She takes a
towel,
photo.
and I'll go. What time are the fucking towel fairies coming to pick up your towel? This happens nearly every
There you
day.
go.
You know what I'm going to do next time I come to your office? I'm going to fucking
Don't
make a
you
towel for
dare! Don't you dare!
I said, look what he did again.
Yeah, she'll blow up. You'll see the right side of her.
Business
And,
feels over.
and our son's doing the same thing now. Just because Dad just drops it and walks. So Jack drops it and walks. Anyway.
What's your one?
God, my
Do you
one.
have one?
What's my weird thing?
I've
God.
had some peculiar ones. Mine was peculiar.
Yeah, that was very.
I hairspray my eyebrows.
You hairspray.
Yeah.
How do
Wow.
you stop it getting in your eyes?
I hairspray my eyebrows every morning. There you go.
Yeah.
I do because they move.
Never had that one before.
Because your eyebrows are really bushy and weird, and he's got crazy out of control eyebrows, and you just got yours, recently got yours plucked, so they're usually really bushy old man, and I can't stand them. So I just get a bit of hairspray and I do that. There you go.
Reckon.
There you go. No one would know that.
There we go.
Yeah, there you
How
go.
goes that?
Random piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Both coming out of the bathroom.
next time you go to the next time you go to the demons, throw towels. Throw in the towel. As soon as you see him, chuck a towel.
Awesome.
What's yours?
Yeah, what is yours?
What do you want to know?
Mine's one. People say you can't say that. I'm a scratcher and a sniffer. I scratch my bum and sniffer. And Sally says, you can't say that. I said, but it's my thing. I scratch behind my ear and sniff, but I really scratch my bum and I go, I've got to go wash that. And I said to him, and he goes, fuck, you're so honest. I said, well, you ask me something that I do all the time. It's just, that's what I do.
That's my first question I ask everyone on my podcast.
Yeah.
And everyone's super like, oh, you know, I do that. And then he just tells it how it is.
We'll tell
And
you.
it's like,
I wasn't
ooh.
expecting that. That's good though.
I'm an honest. If you ask me, I'll fucking answer anything.
Yeah.
Sally was telling a funny story once. This is going back 15 years. I'm a hair twiddler because I don't have hair, so I twiddle everyone else's hair. So I always twiddle Sally's hair. I love twiddling her hair. And one day back then she was an interior designer, and she's sitting in this meeting in this office, and she said, Scotty, I got a whiff of your bum from my hair in that meeting. She said that I became so self-conscious, I thought, if I can smell it,
I smell it.
other people can smell
like
it. She's like, oh my god, bum fingers, stop fucking twiddling my hair with your bum fingers. So she put a bar on it. Stop it, no more twiddling with fucking stinky fingers. That was a while ago, that was maybe 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, but she got a sniff and she's like, other people will smell that. I can smell it.
Bum smell.
Bum fingers. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
No worries.
It's been a
Thanks for
pleasure.
coming on.
Thanks for having us all the way up north
In the bush.
in the
Bush
bush
Tucker.
from Melbourne.
Ozark country.
Was it Ozark, yeah? We're in Mullumbimby, the place south of the Gold Coast, at the end of the road where no one will find us.
First time here. It's a pleasure. Thanks, Scotty.
That's how you do it.